I love to go against the best or be around the best or discuss with the very, very best, because it raises your game. It really does. There's days you can go in solo and you can tinker around the gym a bit. But if you got the world's strongest man there going against you, you're in a fight, and it just changes the whole thing. It goes from a workout to a battle, and you as a person become a better person.
Simple solves the complex, and everything big is built on the back of micro commitments. And I am here with a friend for over 32 years, with my great friend Mike O'Hearn, who is one of the all-time most recognized fitness icons. And a lot of times when Mike comes forward, is interviewed, or people ask about him, and it's talking to me about the fitness industry, and I know that over his travels and impacting people throughout the world, if people have taken the time, they've come to understand that everything that Mike has built that is big and continues to expand and impact more people around the world is universal. And so what really excites me, whether you're someone that's in business, and I think a lot of the people that are watching this interview today, Mike, are mostly business people, as Ryan's got his environment and he's growing businesses. But the really neat thing that we love about Ryan, though, too, is he's impacting lives. As Mike and I have a discussion today, certainly, again, I've known him for many, many years, but what I know is, and I want to really encourage y'all to look at, and underneath is the principles that Mike is going to share with you in how he's progressed through his life and where he's at in current space and time will impact every area of your life, personally, professionally. You take these principles back into business and apply them, you're going to find that it's going to be super helpful, because the one thing that I know is that we can all have strategies, tactics, skills, but what we ultimately know is the most committed wins. So with that said, Mike, it's good to hang out, brother.
I love it, kid. I wish I could be there in person with you hanging, but we're in lockdown.
Yeah, it might be a while for Vegas. Vegas is going to be an interesting ride through this.
Oh. Brother, I have to ask right off the bat, how are you getting your workouts in?
My courtyard here, I've got a bench, and I've got dumbbells, and I've got bands, and our good, wonderful mutual friend, Clark, has a home gym being shipped over to me. So we're going to put a gym in the garage. So that's supposed to happen any day, man.
I was going to say, man, because I know you're as sick when it comes to training as I am. And so I know that is our meditation time. So I was curious about that.
Yeah, I'm getting it done. So, well, in the current space and time of us sitting here together, I think it's, it's ironic because it's a complex time. And there's a lot of unknown, there's a lot of uncertainty. And if people really look, as I mentioned in the beginning, certainly people see it as a fitness icon, but there's just so much more depth to it, I think that what people are going to find is that the way that you have moved through your life, and the routines and the disciplines, and the thing of being unwavering is in focusing on what you control. And there's a lot of things that we don't control we've got here. And so what I want to really dig into, and hopefully people can, bridge the gap from where we're at right now and what we're traveling through with the current circumstances, but also, looking at business life and personal life. Let's go back to the beginning, because I think the most resounding thing is consistency and commitment and discipline, overused, but I don't know that there's anyone that's demonstrated that more than you. Take us back to the beginning. And first of all, everyone's always curious, what was it that really, lit you up around the fitness environment and, the working out and then certainly the evolution of it? What was it, at what point in your life did that really just strike a chord with you, and that's right where you were going to go?
I think it definitely struck a chord with me when I was actually 9 years old, very, very young. And I followed in the footsteps of my brothers and sisters that all did sports, like most the youngest in the family. I watched my brothers and sisters do martial arts and powerlifting and bodybuilding. And so I just took to the weightlifting and training at that time. But in a short period of time, I realized I was pretty good at it. And by 13, 14 years old, I started competing and started winning at that time. And I was winning against 19-year-olds. So I realized at that time, and looking at the magazines and watching everything and seeing how my brothers and sisters and how my mom and dad lived working 9 to 5, I realized, hey man, if I can make a living doing whatever this is and seeing the guys in the magazines, that's how I'd like to make a living. That would be a cool thing to be able to train and do photo shoots on the beach with beautiful women all day and get paid for it. So I took to it at a very, very young age. And the true aspect behind it was watching my parents and my brothers and sisters train and do martial arts. And on the other side of it, that really said, that scared me, I guess you would say, is I was diagnosed with dyslexia at a young age. So I couldn't read and write very well. And as at that young age, you're like, holy shnikes, this is not a good thing. And by the teasing and the self-doubt I put on myself, I really focused on the athletic part of it and said, okay, if I'm not doing good over here, I really got to do good over here to make a living or a life for myself. And I did that at such a young age that I just committed to it. And it just took day to day, day in and day out, I just stayed with it. And even though I overcame the reading and writing, and that nervousness of getting on stage, because that's all I do now, is I stayed true to that one passion that just fired me up at such a young age.
So you talked about winning, and when we're winning, and not saying anyone's a loser, but when there's a winner, there's people that lose, and there's people that fall off and people abandon. If you were to look at, because over time, we've talked about this a lot, is as time, and we'll talk about longevity, which is that's your foundational principle right there, is longevity. People see the weightlifting and nutrition, this and that, but there's a purpose in its longevity. The people that stayed, what's the one difference maker between maybe the people that not only just win, but they continue to win and don't fall off and continue to grow? If you were to look back from the beginning times and through time to where you're at in current space and time, what's the difference between those two people and yourself? Because you have sustained it and continued to grow and expand over the years.
Yeah, that's a great question. Winning let's take winning outside of just winning the contest, because that's just a show. And that really, I know more guys that lose shows and get better with time than the guys that all win. And so it's the losing that creates the champion. For me, and from what I've seen over 40 years of being in the health and fitness world, the guys that have the struggle, the guys that it's not handed to, the guys that had to go through a battle, those are the guys that do it for a different reason, I think. I won at life, but I wasn't gifted everything. I couldn't read or write. I couldn't do well in school, which is a huge thing.
Right.
So to be able to build something and create a business that outlasted anybody else that did it in the health and fitness world for as long as I did, it wasn't because I won the shows. It's because winning the show was nice and that was great and everything, but it was the struggle to get there and know that I had some downsides to it. And a chip on the shoulder, to me, is a great thing to have. I know people say, well, it's in the past, however you grew up is however you grew up. If you use it in the right way, a chip on the shoulder could be a great thing. And even though I won, it wasn't the win. It didn't matter to me. I wanted to keep going. I wanted to go harder. I talk about a story when I won the universe the first time. I went backstage and I said to my training partners, next year I can be better. And they look at me and go, dude, you just won the universe. Take 10 minutes to enjoy this or something. And I was already thinking about the next thing. I was already okay, this is what I need to do, but now let's keep going. Let's take it to another level. So it's the struggles. And I know that we're going through something right now that's never been seen before, really. And I understand it's tough, but we got to adapt to this and we got to change and we got to make things happen in different ways. And for um, for me in my business, I had to adapt and change it up and go to principles that are not the greatest in the sense of the best exercise, but it's the best that we can do right now. And I will take the guy that's consistent and does something over the guy that just throws the towel in.
Talk about the thing that, and I think that this will really resonate with people, because competition's healthy and everything has its duality. And you talk about a chip on your shoulder, but I know in watching you and anyone that's observed you, what's very interesting is a chip and ego can be healthy and it can be unhealthy. But one of the things that I've watched you do over the years is you bring in anyone and everyone, no matter at what level they are. You have this abundant, open spirit where you'll bring in the world's strongest men. I don't even know all the titles, so I just know that I see super athletes, superhumans with you. And the one thing that I capture in observing it and being around it is there's no ego when it takes place. How have you found the ability to perform at the absolute highest level, demand the most out of yourself, keep that competitive fire, yet be supportive and have empowering relationships in situations where most people think, I need to compete against that person. I'm against that person. If that makes sense.
It does to me. Let me see if I can express it to what you're saying. You've seen me compete against and training and stuff with the Hall of Fame best UFC fighters. You've seen me go against the world's strongest men, currently the world's strongest men. And this is me at my age now, not when I was 25 or something. You've seen me go against NFL football players and current NFL football players and the biggest bodybuilders and powerlifters in the world. So I think the hugest thing there is we do have egos. We do want to win, but we want the best fight possible. And I think that's the biggest thing for us. That's why it's fun to tussle with the current world's strongest man and beat him in an exercise. And then he beats me in an exercise. I'm like, that's fun. That's fun for me. And the ego is that I need to win. And when I'm in that set, I'm giving it everything I freaking got. And I'll go until the wheels come off. That's my mentality. But I want to make sure that he's there and he gives me everything he's got. And I want him to try to beat me, because if he tries to beat me and he does beat me, then I'm going to come back and do the same thing. But that has to do with anything and everything in life for how I live. I love to go against the best or be around the best or discuss with the very, very best, because it raises your game. It really does. There's days you can go in solo and you can tinker around the gym a bit. But if you got the world's strongest man there going against you, you're in a fight, and it just changes the whole thing. It goes from a workout to a battle, and you as a person become a better person. And I take those kind of steps. And so the chip on the shoulder is a great thing for me to have, and the ego is a great thing to have, as long as my ego doesn't go to the point where I'm better than everybody else, in the sense of that I think I'm superior as a human in sense. I think that's the difference, where people think the ego is what they think that's only the ego. No, the ego can go either way. The ego can be, I want to be the best. Right? I believe I can be the very best here today, and I'm going to fight to be the very best. And that's me not giving up. And it doesn't matter. I don't want to be the guy, and I never will be the guy to go, hey, I look good for 30. I look good for 40. No. I want to be that 1%. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just your drive within yourself to go, I want to create this. I don't want to be average. And yes, if they say that's ego, that is ego. And you want to be good. You want to be the best. I want to be the very best now, because I got a little boy for the first time in my life. I have a son, and I want to be a freak for this kid when he grows up. So I think keep the ego in check, in the sense of you're not better than everybody else. And you have room to learn from any individual. And not a superior person, but just you believe in what you can do and you want to be the very best. That's the ego that I like.